So in this video, I'm going to show you why your faceless YouTube channel gets 0 views. This is not going to be no regurgitated advice. I'm going to show you what I'm using on my channels to build all the channels I'm viewing. I'm going to show you the actual psychology and physics behind it, how the YouTube algorithm works, and what you can start doing today to start getting more impressions and more views on your videos. Because we have this channel right here. I've been posting on it for quite a while, posting at least a video a day. And it's made 4.4K in the last 28 days, been consistently averaging over $200 a day. There's some bad weeks here and there, but like consistently doing pretty good, doing even higher. In the last 7 days alone, it's done at 700 GSD, which is not bad. But not just that, the reason I'm showing you this channel is if you look at the consistency, yeah, it's been pretty good. You know, it's been feeling me quite well. I have nothing bad to say about this channel, right? It's done 14.2K in the last 90 days. And this is just one of the channels that I run. Yes, this is USD, as you can see. And if I go ahead and refresh that, I'm not showing you this to flex. I'll just want you to know that I know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to give you the food tips on how you can start your own channel. I wouldn't say copy it me, Shan, doing, but obviously it's here. You can do whatever you need to do. But I'm going to show you how you can take what I'm doing, the principles I'm following, and apply it into building your own channels. Okay? So first thing you want to understand is just make good videos. So I'm not saying that making good videos is bad. I just want you to understand something that has to do with the account level. It's not all about the videos, right? Because for example, you could have channels where you're making really good videos, but you're not getting views. But I don't even want you to focus on the views. I want you to focus on the number of impressions you're getting, okay? Because that's what dictates if you even got tested or not. So it's not about just make good videos, because even if you make good videos and you post, you get no views, you get no feedback. You know, and you assume your content is bad, but that's not actually why. Okay. So, yeah, but that's not actually why. What I want you to pay attention is this thing that YouTube is actually a filter. Okay. If your videos never got tested, you're not going to know if it's good or bad, right? How does YouTube know if your video is good or bad? It tests it against the market. People watch the video. Right? If people don't watch the video, you know, you can't say, oh, this video is good or bad, etc. If it was never shown to a group. So what YouTube does is it tests it, and you've probably seen this multiple times, right? So it tests it with a smart test group, and then if they're happy with it, you know, YouTube tests it with a bigger group. But this is why you're stuck, right? Most of your videos either not getting tested, or it's just getting tested with a very small like group of people. So why isn't YouTube testing your videos, right? This is where most of you are stuck. And while that goes into something, I'm going to go into the rest of the slides, but that goes into something called Trusca. And I really want you to pay attention to this. If you've never heard this before, you know, pay attention to it. Trusca. I'm sure you've probably heard it, like no one hasn't had this, but Trusca, okay? This is how YouTube decides to show your niche or your channel amount to people, right? And there's multiple ways that you can go about building this Trusca, okay? One is if you have this, you're extremely lucky. Like you might just be goated. Sometimes it doesn't work, but you are way ahead than everyone else if you have a channel like this. And that is an old personal, okay, an old personal channel. So first of all, let me explain, why does YouTube give a fuck about Trusco in the first place, right? Why does they care about Trusco or channel history, as I like to call it, okay? Why is this? Because if you've never heard about this, there's something called artificial engagement, right? Artificial engagement, which is the fact that you're sitting there watching this video right now, you can make any video go viral. I hope YouTube don't ban me for saying this, but this is for educational purposes only. You can make any video go viral by getting a fake engagement bot and having it watch your videos, right? So you can buy a service, for example, and you put a link of your video and they'll flood it with artificial engagement, which is essentially bots to make your video go viral, right? Because YouTube sees this massive rush of engagement as velocity, and YouTube thinks your video is actually really good, and then it ends up getting more views, right? But YouTube doesn't like this, because if you can artificially manipulate the algorithm, then what is YouTube there for anymore, right? It's not genuine anymore, right? Advertisers would pay less if people are gamifying the algorithm. So YouTube has a very important duty of actively cracking down, because the bots that give you artificial views, they need YouTube accounts. You need YouTube account to watch a video and comment on it and all these things, right? Because so what YouTube is doing is to start to understand what accounts belong to bots, so that whenever you're buying these services, these artificial engagement, YouTube can say, oh, this is not real, this is a bot, and YouTube can subtract those views and not count it, right? So it's a very important thing that YouTube is doing. Now, the way you can spot like these bot accounts is usually that, it's automated. They use scripts for this. If you're not read more about this, if you're confused what I'm talking about, go ahead and search this up and read about it, okay? Search this on the internet and read about this, okay? But this is important. So how are they going to crack down from this thing, okay? Well, usually to have these bots, you need a lot of accounts. So you might need like 1,000 YouTube accounts, or like 100,000 YouTube accounts if you want to send someone 100,000 views, right? So to do that, you might need to mass produce YouTube accounts, right? So YouTube tries to detect a pattern, right? So usually bots are accounts that are just recently created, they're created recently, and because they're created en masse, right? So that's why to fail on YouTube today, one of the fastest things to do to fail on YouTube is to create a new account and instantly start posting. Create new. If you do this, you are going to post for months and YouTube is not going to test your video, right? Because you could be a bot, right? You could be a bot that's trying to, mass produce content, either to go viral in a niche or to send artificial engagement to people, right? So YouTube doesn't have any past channel history. That account has very little trust score. So that's the one surefire way that YouTube is using to crack down on these bots. That's one way, right? Now, because the people that make the bots started understanding that, okay, whenever I create a fresh new channel, new account, and try to send artificial engagement, YouTube usually like remove the views. Like YouTube would subtract the views, meaning that it doesn't work anymore. So they said, okay, if they do that, and okay, we're in a bit of trouble now. How do we sell our services? How do we make artificial engagement work, right? So that's when people started understanding that new accounts don't get impressions on YouTube. So what did they do after that? They said, okay, so the best thing to do now is to use aged accounts. So if you wanted to make money to go viral on YouTube, the best thing to do is to use an aged account, right? Because this has more history, right? So an aged account is an account where it's been created in like 2007. It's been created a long time ago, right? And you're just like getting these accounts off of other people that have the account and they're not using it anymore, So you have accounts like this, like old accounts. That's the main account. So for a long time, for quite a bit, this worked. If you wanted to go viral on YouTube, if you got like an aged account and you're posting good content, YouTube would start to test your videos more often than not, right? So this worked for a while. And then that's when the people that do the bots, the people that, I'm just gonna, the B people, The people with the bots, that's when they decided, okay, so if Aced account is getting impressions now, that means we should also be using Aced account for our bots. Do you get what I'm saying? Conflict of interest. I said, okay, how about we start getting Aced accounts for our bots instead of creating new ones? So they started going to all these sites where you get Aced accounts, and they started buying a lot of them. They started buying a lot of these Aced accounts for their bots, right? Which meant that they've bypassed YouTube again. They've managed to stay on top of YouTube because now YouTube will trust in Aced accounts, and now the bot people also have access to Aced accounts. You know what I'm saying? So now they're like, what do we do? So they started using the bots again, started sending official engagement. Remember, this is a very important threat to YouTube. If YouTube is a fake platform, you as an advertiser would not want to spend money on YouTube anymore, right? Because it's not genuine engagement, right? So, they started cracking down on this. That's why recently everyone was telling you to get an Aced account. An Aced account, that's what works, Right? But that doesn't even work anymore. It works for a few months, but why doesn't it work anymore? You don't get impressions as consistently anymore where you post new videos to channels die, and you don't even get views, right? Even if you post consistently. That's why this doesn't work very much anymore. Why? Because they're cracking down on this as well. They're using multiple other ways to start detecting what accounts were bought, what accounts were Aced accounts. You know what I mean? So that's why you would have channels like this, for example. They have been posting 108 videos. Even though this niche, I have channels in this niche that are all doing 10K a month, but you have a niche like this, they're posting really good videos and just stuck at 40 views, 50 views, 60 views, 100 views, 90 views, 191 views, right? Even though he's making good videos. That's why I was telling you, the people telling you, oh, just make good videos. That's not true. It doesn't work anymore. Making good videos does nothing, right? But you can quite easily get stuck like this and post for months and months and months, making good videos, trusting consistency, trusting the process, and you're not going to be getting views. So the reason I was saying that you are lucky if you have this right now, if you have a main account, is because your chances are slightly higher. If you have a main account, which is your personal account that you've had since you were a kid, you've always used there, etc., it's your personal thing, you can assume that the trust score on that channel is very high because you have a channel history, you have a little videos that you've watched, you have a natural viewing pattern, natural account pattern, so you're safe, right? But if you have an aged account nowadays, you're not that safe anymore because this is no longer guaranteed, right? This is kind of working, but not guaranteed. This is definitely not guaranteed, etc., right? And this, the one that actually works, which is what I'm doing and everyone else is doing, everyone that's using YouTube like a business, the thing that actually works, right? The thing that actually works is pre-monetized accounts. Why is that? Why a pre-monetized accounts, the things that already what? Well, because this has massive trust score. One, it's already been monetized in the past. Monetize. Which means that it's gotten a lot of views before. Why? A lot of views. What does that mean? That means that YouTube has tested the channel before and trusted it. YouTube has already tested it, given it views, trusted it, and gave it more views. Do you know what I mean? Right? And not just that, this account had already been linked to an AdSense. So it's a real person behind the account, right? So if you have things like this, these massive trust scores is what happens, is what's in your favor. That's why when you start new accounts, when you post new videos, you instantly start getting impressions. Instant impressions, YouTube sets, pushing your videos, right, to a lot of people to watch. Why is that? Because all these trust score. This is the one that these people can't get at scale. They cannot get these accounts at scale, right? And YouTube understands this. If you don't manage to find a way to circumvent this and these people use this, then YouTube is in a lot of trouble. But for right now, this is what consistently works. This is the one way to do YouTube as a business, start this week and start getting impressions, right? It's either you do this or you must be ready to post consistently for a long, long time. And there's no guarantee at the end. It's either that or you're willing to make like 60 plus videos with no guarantee. So at the end of the 60 plus videos, you might not even be getting these anyway. Do you get what I mean? This is how to do YouTube. This is the only way to do YouTube. Either you're ready to do this or you're going to combine it with a personal account you have and still do volume. This is volume game. And still accept that there's no guarantee, right? Now, if you want to get these remonetized accounts, I'm going to put a plug here. I don't care what you say, but I do have where I get mine. And not just that, if you get a remonetized account or you don't know what to post or like you need help, if you want to enter the kind of niches I'm mentoring, if you want to get my help to build your channel, etc., head over to headstartchannels.com. It's right here, headstartchannels.com. Claim your pre-monetized account. You're going to have to go ahead and book a call. And if you get accepted, you can essentially have yourself a pre-monetized account. They do have a guarantee. Would they have a guarantee? You can go ahead and apply here. So it's get on the dolls back, or you don't, or you get a full refund. But this is why you can get your pre-monetized account, right? Now, but guys, just because I have this link here, do not believe that all that shit I just said is that crap. I just said it to sell my course. You know what? I don't even care if you believe me on that, right? I have the receipts, right? I don't care if you believe me. I don't care if you think, you know, what's going to work, etc., etc. You're just going to, be consistent. I'm telling you right now, if you don't want to waste the next 3 months on YouTube, grinding on YouTube, you need to do this. Or be ready to post consistently, right? Or have yourself an old account that you can trust and just post on that. But with a pre-monetized account, it's already monetized, so you start earning once you start posting, etc., etc. But yeah, that's why your Faceless channel gets 0 views. That's number one thing. You guys think it's all about the niche. You guys think it's all about the video. Sure, if you get like a pre-monetized account, you still have to get a good niche, which is what headstartchannels.com helps you with. You still have to get a good niche, get good video ideas, still manage to go viral, right? We'll help you with that. But do not forget and do not think for a second that this shit doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. If you want to do it like a business, you need to keep this in mind. So that's the lesson for this video. Goodbye.